May profits be upon you. Welcome to another weekly market forecast. We're going to go over the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and I was thinking of including gold and silver in this video as well because they're part of the markets too, right? All right, let's look at the calendar. I went over this in the previous video going over the Forex markets. You want to go check that out as soon as you can. All right. I'll leave a link in the description or at the end of this video. Okay. Now, Monday, we have nothing for the US dollar. Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday through Tuesday is going to be a pretty decent week, decent days to trade because there's going to be some good volatility in the markets. All right, but things you want to be aware of is that there's going to be a bank holiday for the Japanese yen, and there's going to be some elections for the CAD. And we also have Friday, NFP. Big impact news there. Big impact news. So the day before Thursday, you see all these bank holidays for the Swiss and the Euro, French and German, Italian banks. All right, but there's going to be some news. ISM for the U.S. dollar. The thing is that the Thursday before NFP is usually kind of wonky. All right, the price action can be just a little weird, and might be consolidative. So because of the heavy impact coming the next day, so that's something you want to be careful of and be aware of. That's all. All right, so. Oh, and there's a Bank of Japan is going to have their interest rate announced on Thursday. I think that's tentatively, but that'll be this week as well. So be aware of that. Now we're looking at the S&P right now, the S&P futures, okay, and on the monthly. And what you can see is that look at this big respect candle. It came down into this area of fair value. All right, traded away, breaking the high, making a new high, and then coming into this area of fair value and rejecting, right? This is a respect candle, and it allows one to think that there may be some more bullishness to come. All right, because inside of this candle, there's a lot of bullish fair value gaps. All right, we break these lows, all right, as a market structure shift to the downside, right? And you would think, okay, we're going to test this area of fair value here as supply, and maybe we might get something like this here. But look at how big that is, and that was tariff driven and all that good stuff, or not, or tariff easing, one or the other. And you think that there is some momentum going to the upside, right? Look at this candle. Look how bullish it was. That was the tariff easing there. I remember that. It was a couple of weeks ago. Then we get this inside candle following that. And then last week, it closed. It not only traded below the low of the previous weekly candle range, but it also closed above the high. This would indicate that using next candle theory, that prices, we're looking for higher prices come next week. So also want to point out there is a weekly fair value gap in there. All right, from this low to this high, there's a weekly fair value gap that price just traded up into and closed in. All right, now is it possible that we get a bearish candle and we start to turn around? Yeah, that is possible, but that's a lot of bullish momentum, and the fact that price totally engulfed this previous weekly candle there. All right, and closing above it. I'm looking for higher prices. I think this weekly fair value gap is going to fail, and you don't see it supported by a daily fair value gap. Once we get to the daily time frame, you don't see that supported by daily fair value gaps. We got this move, price pushed down, took that low, and then we pushed up. Yeah, we have a volume imbalance here that price did trade back into. Yeah, it's a small weekly, a small daily fair value gap there. Yes, it did, and pushed up into this weekly fair value gap, a weekly bearish one. All right, and price could see the other way, but I'm looking at uh, uh, these supporting prices here, and and we have a bearish fair value gap here, a bearish volume imbalance. All right, but we're already tapping into it now. I'm looking for that to be a speed bump, and then prices going higher. That's where I'm at on this. Even though we are staring at a bearish fair value gap, I'm looking for higher prices. Now, what is this here? This looks like a monthly fair value gap that we're going to take some time to get to. Yeah, the market could use that to go lower. All right, and come back into this price range of this uh, wick, that monthly wick. But this is a good ways off. All right, so I'm not looking at that right now. Yeah, we could be drawn to that. Certainly, we could be drawn to this high as a draw on liquidity. Certainly, but the immediate target for liquidity, all right, as we have taken this, we've taken out these lows, all right, and this low, we've taken a lot of external liquidity. I'm looking for price to tap into this internal range liquidity of the weekly fair value gap, and we'll see how it reacts here. We'll see how it reacts. I am leaning bullish because we have some bullish volume imbalances. We see the respect of the bullish fair value gap here. I'm thinking that there's a good chance that we may see higher prices if we get past this high and tap into the monthly fair value gap that I already pointed out. Things get really interesting up there because we have this high after that and some lower resistance liquidity up here. Now, again, this is the S&P. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ doesn't have something that the S&P does, and that is, look at this week. We're on a weekly time frame. You don't see a weekly fair value gap here. All right, you do see the bounce after it hit that area of fair value. Boom. All right, see the bounce here, the tariff bounce, and you see how strong the last weekly candle closed. All right, it closed above, it traded below the previous weekly low, and then closed above the previous weekly high, the last two weekly highs. I am inclined. You don't see a weekly bearish fair value gap over here, and on the daily, do we have a weekly fair value gap that could turn price around in this leg of structure? No, we don't. We have a draw. We have a draw on liquidity up here. Can I get it? Can I get it, please? Yeah. Here we go. And this is on the NASDAQ. All right. And this is on the daily time frame. Boom. All right. So I'm looking at price. Take this high out already. Yes, we could see a pullback into what? Into what? There is a bullish fair value gap right here that price could pull back into and use to go higher. Pull back. Come on, man. Why you do that? Why'd you do that? We could pull back into that bullish fair value gap and continue higher to this weekly draw on liquidity. We've already taken out this high. All right, this high would be next. This high would be the ultimate objective. All right. Now, could price turn around here? I need something to say that price is running into that kind of resistance. This isn't that kind of resistance. This is the kind of resistance that gives a speed bump. Boom. And then higher prices after that. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for higher prices, honestly. All right. You can see that the gap down here, the volume imbalance and the fair value gap that opened up down here led to another fair value gap. And when you start to see that one begetting another, a fair value gap leading to another fair value gap, yeah, you can see that we have some bullish momentum and that the order flow is bullish. You know? And the fact that we just took this high is another reason to think, hey, we could get a small pullback into a fair value gap and then go higher. If we go to the Dow, the Dow has something that the S&P has, and that is a bearish fair value gap, as I am showing you right here. A bearish weekly fair value gap on the weekly time frame. Boop. Okay, so I'm thinking that there's a good reason after taking out these lows that price wants to push back into an internal range, internal range liquidity. Maybe use it as a speed bump and then continue higher. All right. Why do I think it's going to continue higher? Because it didn't close past the high of the previous week like the S&P and the NASDAQ did. Why do I think that prices are going to go higher? Well, we took out the low. We pushed higher. We didn't take out the high, but we had a high close. This is a open, low, high close candle here, and yeah, we closed within the range, but this is after the low of the previous candle range was taken. I like the fact that we have this gap, the weekly gap up there to draw price to it. So I'm looking for higher prices. Yes, if we go to the daily, what we can see is after breaking structure here, all right, price had a V-shaped kind of recovery here, right? But it turned around. It was weak. It didn't go higher. It formed a weekly fair value gap, a bearish one, all right? And we took out that low only to push higher with a volume imbalance here, a bullish volume imbalance. And then we got a little consolidation here. I'm looking for higher prices. I'm looking for price to reach that high. And once we do, because we've already traded into the range of this area of fair value, right? We traded into that range already. I'm looking for price to continue up higher. I think this area is going to, with the higher low here. What happened there? I don't know. We have a higher low here. We have this 1, 2, 3 reversal here. I like the way this is looking, honestly. Okay, and I think we're going to take this high. I think this will be the what do you call it? The draw on liquidity for the week here, and not for the week, but I do think sometime this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to hit this. We're going to hit that high. All right, and we could be heading towards these highs afterwards, but we'll see what the reaction is once it reaches the weekly fair value gap. All right, if I just take a quick peek on the 4-hour, I want to see if I have any support for higher prices. And guess what? Guess what, chicken butt? I see this bullish fair value gap on the 4-hour that you see price respecting so far. I would look for prices to continue higher from here up to the draw on liquidity. Do I have the same 4-hour gap on the others? I'm checking the NASDAQ. We have a fair value gap right here. I don't know why it's not drawing because I'm using the wrong drawing tool. Don't shoot me. Okay. All right. Boom. There we go. That's a 4-hour bullish fair value gap that price traded down into and respected and use to make reach for higher prices. And this is going to be our draw up here. Do we have the same on the S&P? Yes, we do. It's sitting right there, and it's respected. We are already in the 4-hour fair value gap. These dotted lines are. And yeah, I'm thinking that even if we get some kind of reaction from that fair value gap, which was this, I'm thinking that is the reaction. I'm thinking that we're going higher. We're going up here. Boom. Yeah. So that's my case for the indices. Let's check out gold. All right. Gold, if we go to the monthly, you can see it's been a rocket, right? Yes, it pulled back, tested the high of the previous candles, right? The previous candle there, and then pushed up higher. All right. It erased the formation of a monthly fair value gap, but it continued higher. That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know, right? If we go to the weekly, we can see that there's a very thin weekly fair value gap here. All right. Price pushed higher, leaving that weekly fair value gap there. And this past week, you see how it opened and closed. All right. It opened and it shot above the high of this candle. It opened, pushed higher, then came back down and closed within the range of this candle. All right. So there is still room for it to continue down, but at that low and at that high, we have the formation of a bullish fair value gap. The next candle opens up here. We can push down into this fair value gap, boom, and then continue higher from there. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. If we go to the month, I don't mean the monthly up. We go down to the daily. We can see that weekly fair value gap formation there. It hasn't been tapped into yet. I'm looking for that to happen this week, and maybe we can see higher prices from there after we sweep these lows. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Now, there is an area of fair value here that has not been traded into yet. I'm going to keep a very watchful eye on this area. I'm going to use the CISD area tool there. I like this as an area for fair value to be tested, but we'll see if it even gets this far. I like the fact that there's an opposing candle here that price could use as support in order to seek higher prices along with this weekly fair value gap. Now, if we go to silver, not the same kind of price action. Why? We're looking at the weekly. You can see that there is what is this? What are we doing here? We can see that there is a weekly fair value gap here. This whole thing is a weekly fair value gap. But look how price is charging through it. Bullish candle close, bullish candle close. And we have pierced above that bearish fair value gap. I do like the fact that I'm noticing that last week we closed back within the range of the previous week candle. So that is a bearish indication. Now we could go into consolidation here. Hard to tell, but I am bullish. I'm bullish with a capital B, apparently, with this price action. All right, I do not think we're going to reverse from that weekly fair value gap up here because look how deep we penetrated into it. But I do think there may be some sideways price action from here, looking at the candle closes. All right, now this is the daily time frame. You can see that there is a big weekly, daily. I'm sorry, a daily bearish fair value gap. That price is steadily. We went into some consolidation and then even went higher inside of this daily fair value gap. This daily fair value gap is not valid for me anymore because it's been used, and I think that we're